just gonna go over the light settings and the rendering settings inside here, inside ZBrush. If you want to achieve a very good final result for your model, you will need to render it inside, not just take screenshots or print screens, the screen itself. First, I'd like you to go into the Document tab. And in here, you will see this box right here. This box basically shows you the resolution of the workspace, right? So by default, this option called Pro will be turned on. It's best to turn it off. This option means that the proportions of the screen will be pretty much constrained. We don't need that. We need to make the resolution of the workspace and change to the native resolution of your computer screens. Usually I think you'll have like a full HD resolution. That means that every time you start a new project, you will need to change the width of the workspace to 1920, and the height of the screen of the workspace will be 1080, right? So you will notice that the workspace will be a lot bigger, and the resolution inside the workspace will be a lot better, right? You will not have jagged edges on your models. If, for example, you already started on a document, a model, you started modeling on an object already, and it didn't change the resolution before you started the project, you can always change the resolution mid-project by just going to the Document tab and change it from here. But the thing is, you need to click on Resize Document. After that, you will see that the document will be stretched. To fix that problem, you will just need to press Ctrl N or just open a new document from the Document tab. So for example, if I'm just gonna load this project right here, which is the beholder, but this time it's actually poly painted. Actually, I'm just gonna publish the lesson on Ala, because I have it already. If you go to Ala, you will have the beholder polypaint.zpr. This is basically the same model as this one, right? It just has colors applied to it. But anyway, let's just say I just want to change the resolution of this workspace. I can just go into Document, change this width number to 920 by 1080. I'm just going to click on Resize. I'm going to click on Yes because I want to resize it. And you'll see that now this is actually stretched. If I want to paint or model on this object again, I would just need to drag and drop the model. But you will see that the old model still remains on the screen. That's because we will need to actually create a new document, as I said. So just press Ctrl N, this is the shortcut for new document. And then just click on the screen, and then just drag and drop with your mouse. Press T.
D.
T.
Oh, T.
Truck. Go into edit mode, and then you're free to sculpt on a model again. Okay, let's actually go into the lighting settings.
Okay, why would we do that again?
It's
What's the
just
reason?
to have a much better resolution when taking renders.
Okay.
Right? It's just gonna make the resolution of this workspace, right? This space right here, much bigger, much larger, so
Okay.
that you will not have any jagged edges around the model.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I set this to really low resolution, for example, like 300 by, actually 400 by 300, oop, click on resize, you will see that
Mm-hmm.
the resolution and the size of the workspace it's much slow, much not slower, but much ooh. Right, so in the end it's just better to have much bigger resolution for the workspace.
Okay.
You don't want to have a much smaller workspace to work with. Of course, you can increase the zoom of the document from here, but as you can see, it's much more pixelated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we need to change this resolution to something like 1080, as I said before, by actually 1920 by 1080. If you don't remember this number, this is pretty much what full HD resolution is. Just gonna zoom out, click on new document, T, and go back into the modeling mode. Okay, by default on this file you will have my resolution, which is just gonna load. Which is 560 pixels by 1600. Right, so this is basically my screen resolution right now on my laptop. Your laptop might have a different resolution, so it's good to adjust it from here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go into the lighting settings. And what we'll do is actually just click on the divider, double click on the divider actually, bring up this new space for the menus. I'm gonna hover with my mouse to this circle with an arrow on top until I see like 4 arrows. I'm just gonna click, drag, and drop this material tab to the workspace to just delete it.
You drop it and then delete it.
Yeah, it's just gonna delete automatically.
Oh,
If you
okay.
drop into the workspace area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm just gonna go into the light tab because this is what I want to concentrate on. I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna hover with my mouse to on this circle with an arrow on top until I see like 4 arrows pop out. Just gonna click, drag, and drop this menu on the left side of the screen until I see this empty box. At least the outline will light up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna drop the menu right there. And now every time I open this area, you'll see that the light options will still be there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can do this with any other tabs from here. This is pretty much what the tool tab is right here. If you can see, it's the same icon. You can just drag it and delete it. If you want to open the tool tab again, you can just go here, just drag and drop on the right side of the screen. We'll just bring it back. But anyway, for now, we're just going to concentrate on the light options. So every time you open the light tab, you'll see this sphere right here, and a little point, orange point on it. This sphere pretty much indicates the base model, and the orange point will indicate the angle of the light. So if you just hover your mouse over to this orange dot, you can just click and drag and drop it to a different location, you will see that that would pretty much just change the angle of the lights. If you want to, for the light to actually shine from behind the model, you can just click once on the white sphere. That would pretty much just send the lights from the back. Now this is not really that visible. This is because the intensity of the light is quite low. If you want to increase it, if you want to see a result, you will want to increase it. So I will do this right now. I will just increase it to like a higher value, 3.7, something like this. I would change the material first to much shinier one. Let's see. Let's change to a metal material. Now if I click on this button, which I'll go over in a second, you'll see that the render created a really cool effect for the ring light. Now ring light is pretty much the lights that are shining from behind the model. Now if I want to change the angle of the lights so that it shines from the front of the model again, I would just need to go back to this sphere, which is now black because there's no light in the front. I'm just going to click on the sphere again, and you'll see that the light will be sent again in front of the model. Okay, I'm just going to change the value from 3.7 to 0.85, which is the default one. I'm just going to change the material to the skin shade of 4, actually make it whiter. I'm just going to choose a different position for my model. What I'm going to do is actually change the position of the eye as well.
So when you want to change something, you have to select it first.
Well, yeah, you just need to make sure the subtool is selected. What I would do right here is, because I want to change the position only of this main big eye, I can just mask it. So I'm just gonna press Control. First I'm gonna change the stroke to a lasso. Just gonna press Control and hover with the mask on this eye. Actually, to see it better, I'm just gonna isolate all the other models. I'm gonna press Shift and left click on this eyeball to isolate them. So, like I said, Control to change to the masking brush, change the stroke so that I wouldn't have to like paint on it. I can just select the entire eyeball and we'll just mask it. I can then just invert the mask by pressing Control and left click next to it. And then what we'll do is just bring back all the models by pressing Shift left click on the eyeball. Go into the transpose tools, Alt and this pinpoint area to bring the transpose tools to the selected object. Now I can just, with the help of this curves, I can just change the angle of the eye.
Because I had trouble with that on Monday, because basically like I didn't realize that I'd done everything on the same layer, so I was really having trouble selecting stuff.
Yeah, just make sure if you want to
So how would I make new layers for new things?
well, you just need to create polygroups,
Polygroups.
which is, I think, quite in-depth process. Right, so if you can see here, I got the polyframe from here, by either by just clicking on here, or just by pressing Shift on a keyboard, you will see that all these objects have different colors.
Yeah.
Now in ZBrush they are called polygroups. it's good to have different polygroups, because if you press Control Shift on any object, you'll see that only these two objects with the yellow paint will be selected.
But
Okay.
just say you haven't done that, like I didn't do that, and you want to change something.
Right, so if you want to assign different polygroups, you'll just need to go into the polygroups sub-tab in the subtool menu. And there are different options. You can just click on auto groups. You can just, let's see, let's just go on this one because it's a whole polygroup. You can just mask certain areas,
Okay.
something like this. And you can just click on group mask, and you'll see that it actually created two
Nice.
groups. And then you can just Control Shift and click on that specific color to isolate it, so that every time you just let's say model on it, you'll see that the other part is not affected. Just gonna
Perfect.
delete that. Now if you want to make the whole thing only one polygroup, you can just click on auto groups. That will change it so that it just shows one color.
Okay.
So you just need to mask certain areas that you want to model or edit, right? Then just go to the polygroups sub-tab and click on group mask. Okay, so back to the eye. Just gonna close this polyframe mode. Like I said, I'm just gonna change the angle and make sure that that's maxed first. Okay. I'm gonna bring back all the objects. Now we can move eyes. Can change the angle of the main eye.
Can I also say?
And here you can just bend it. Like for example, if I want to add a spring in his mouth, right?
Yeah, in
I can
between the
just
teeth
click
or
on
something.
append. I'm gonna append the news here. I'm gonna make this really small. You don't need to see it, really. You can just put it inside the model. And then I can just go into the IMM brushes, if I can find them. I think it was in the spaceship, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just find
Somewhere there.
spring. Or just any model.
It might. Yeah, it was there somewhere. I can't
Okay,
remember.
let's just find this one. Right, I'm just gonna drag and drop this one. And now to actually position it, you can just press W to go into transpose mode. And then just rotate it from there. You can scale it. You can
But
change
if
the
you
width.
wanted to like put it right in between the teeth, so you just have to zoom into the model, right?
I mean, yeah, it's just
Oh, okay. I don't know. I was having.
you would just need to rotate it and scale it. Put in between.
So you could zoom right into the roof of that mouth, could you?
Yep.
Okay.
Of course you can. I see if I want to put it right back in the mouth, I can do that. Or if I want, for example, if I want to put it on this side, I can do that as well. Right, so with the transpose tools, by pressing W,
Yeah.
or just by going to this from the draw, which is pretty much just modeling option, you can just click on this move, and with these circles, the circles are going to control the rotation, the arrows are going to control the position, and the rectangles are going to control the width of the model. So if I want to make that duplicate, I can just go into Z plugin, sub to master, mirror. Just gonna merge. There you go.
And how do you zoom in on the keyboard?
Control and right click.
Right click.
Okay. So control right click, and you just move your mouse up and down. If you don't want to use any keyboard shortcuts, you will see this option.
Yeah, I
called
said that was a bit
preview.
annoying though. It was a bit more difficult to use for me for some reason.
I mean, it really depends on, you know, preference. But yeah, control, right click, move your mouse up and down. It's gonna zoom in and zoom out. Alt and left click is gonna pan the camera around, and just left click to just rotate it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just delete this. I don't need this. I'm just gonna find a position. Now, if you see here, this is the thumbnail. This is a really important thing. Why is this important? This pretty much will show you how the final render would turn out, right? So even if you can't see the whole model in the workspace, this will pretty much reflect how the result of the final render will be, right? So in the final render, we will have the whole model on the screen, even if it's not showing on the workspace. So it's good to just adjust it based on this thumbnail. Don't make it too small, because otherwise you can see in the thumbnail that it's way too small. Just make it big enough so that it's actually centered and occupies as much space as possible in the thumbnail. Something like this. Now, if you want to save a position or save an angle for this specific character, you can just go into the document tab, and in the document tab you'll see the Z-Uplink properties. If you click on this, you can see different options and buttons. What we need to click is use custom one transform. If I click this, the program will pretty much remember that angle and that position for the model, so that, for example, if accidentally just change the angle a little bit, I can just go into document, Z-Uplink properties, and click on custom one, and it will just revert it back to that saved angle. Right, so you can just save different angles for the characters. Document, Z-Uplink properties, custom 2, and I can just cycle between custom 1, custom 2.
So why would you want to save the different angles just to do a profile of the character?
This will be useful. You'll see in the lesson on Monday. This will be useful for the renders. We'll take ZBrush. We'll take different renders with different materials, right? Sometimes, for example, accidentally you just move your camera a little bit. That would just pretty much destroy the entire process. Because later in Photoshop we will need to put all the renders on top of each other. So if one render is pretty much misplaced, it will destroy the final result. So if that happens, you can just go to Documents, Z-Uplink properties, click on Custom One, and we just go back to that original angle. Okay. Let's go back into the lighting settings and choose an angle for the lights. I'm gonna let it render. pretty good actually. First
Yeah.
try. Now, if I want to
I like
add
the shadowing.
more light sources, you'll see that next to the sphere there are multiple light bulbs, and only one is enabled. This is pretty much the primary light. You can add multiple secondary lights. So if I just double click on this light bulb, it will enable the secondary lights. I can just change the angle of that secondary light freely, just change the intensity as well, the distance, the ambient. All of the options that are available for the main lights, are available for the secondary lights as well. Just make sure that you actually select the light before you switch to, before we change any options.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, just say you wanted it to be kind of like a spotlight on it or something.
You can
That's
just
possible with those light bulbs.
Yep, you can just go into the light type. Now, right now it's changed to a sun light. You can just change to a spotlight here.
Okay.
You can also change the color. So if I want to make this, let's say, a blue light, like this, just increase the intensity, and you already see that kind of has a cool effect on the model. And to actually see the lights applied with the shadows, I'm just gonna render this. Alright, so you can see how the blue spotlight affects
Yeah.
the colors. Okay. Honestly, I would just use the default sun lights. There's no need to change it to a spotlight because you can pretty much just control the intensity, right? So if you want to make this really dim, you can just lower the intensity, lower the distance. You will just have a tint of blue on the model. Okay. So we got the light settings out of the way. Let's just go into the render settings. Right, so the render settings are up here. Just gonna click on this. I'm gonna dock this to the left side of the screen. Just gonna scroll down. Now, in the render settings, we'll look at 4 different sub menus. These are the render properties, the BPR render pass, BPR shadow, and the BPR ambient occlusion, which is BPR AO. Now the first one, the render properties, is pretty much what it says. From here you can just enable and increase the details of the final render, right? So right now by default it's set to 3. If you want to have the maximum amount of details on your model, you need to set this value from 3 to 4. You can enable or disable the shadows from here. Enable or disable the ambient occlusion as well from here. By default, the ambient occlusion will be turned off, so we will need to turn it on from here.
What's occlusion?
Well, this is pretty much how the software calculates the amount of exposure you'll have on the model when rendering. Okay, so render properties, pretty much just 3 things. The details, usually you will want to change this from 3 to 4 to have a much higher quality end result. The shadows and the ambient occlusion, make sure they're turned on. And we got the render properties out of the way. Now the BPR render pass, you will see all of the renders here. Now to actually render, you will need to click on this BPR button. Right, this will pretty much initiate the render. You can either press press the button here or just press Shift R on the keyboard, it will do the same thing. As you can see, it actually applies shadows. You can also see some ambient occlusion around this area. Okay, so if, for example, if I want to save the render, I can just go into the BPR render pass. I can choose the BPR render shaded. Click on this, make a folder, make a new folder, just choose desktop for example. Alright, I'm just going to save, and you'll see that you can edit the final render from here.
What would you save it as? Like, if I have to put that on a PDF to obviously submit for my project, what would I save it as?
On a PDF, well, you just save it as a JPEG or a PNG.
A JPEG, okay.
You make the PowerPoint, right? You import the JPEG into the PowerPoint, and then when you're done with the PowerPoint, you can just export that PowerPoint as a PDF file.
And to do it with the same method, can I put that into my world picture? Like, if I'm going to create a Photoshop world, like scene or something,
I mean,
would I be able to put that
course.
3D character as a JPEG into that, yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we'll do 3D to 2D lesson on Monday.
Okay.
You'll see how we can actually.
Because I'm going to do like a, well, like, a more or less, you know how I'm going to do my... Okay.
Okay, so again, press on shaded. Now the composite will basically be the image without the black background, right? So if you just want to save only the model without the background, you will need to click on the composite image. If you want to save the image with the black background, you can click on the shader. Now, after you select the save file location, this window will pop out. Here you can make some further adjustments. If you enable this adjust button, you can see that you'll have multiple sliders here. You can just adjust the contrast.
How did you get that to come up? Was it already there?
What exactly?
The adjust button?
Yes, it's already there.
Okay.
You just need to enable it to actually change the sliders. Okay, so you can just change the contrast. You can change the red contrast. You can play with the colors of the render. Change the gamma. Right, you can just make some small post-process changes. Honestly, I wouldn't do any changes here. Right, I can do the changes inside Photoshop. So basically, what you need to do is just click on shaded, select the file location, the save file location, sorry, and then after you're done with analyzing your final render, you can just click OK. That will save the render. Okay, so
you would edit this more in Photoshop
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What would you need to edit in Photoshop?
Well, pretty much everything.
Really? Oh my god.
The materials of the eyes, the materials of the teeth,
Wow.
they're not going to be the same color, same texture. Yeah. The background as well, you know, it's just not going to be like
Oh yeah,
black,
true.
black background. But yeah, so small rewind, render properties. The render properties, you can change the detail, the details of the render, right? By default, it will be 3. You can change the number from 3 to 4 for maximum amount of details. You can plug in the shadows and ambient occlusion from here as well. BPR render pass is where all your renders will be, right? So after you click on BPR, on the BPR button, and after it finishes rendering, the results will be here. Just click on one image, select the location where you want to save it. In my case is desktop. Save. And then click OK to actually save it. Okay, let's go into the BPR shadow. Here we'll find the shadow settings. Usually if you want to make the shadows smoother, you can just change the angle from 0 to, let's say, 10. You can see that right now the model has somewhat harsh shadows. Now if I change this to like value of 10 for the angle and render again, you will see that I will achieve different results. Right, so you can see that shadows are much smoother. Of course, I can increase this value to 20 to make it more visible. Also, gonna take some time to render, so please don't click on anything. Right, so you can see that
I didn't know that, like, see, I wouldn't know that. I mean, anyway, obviously you're teaching us that, but I thought the shadows were good to begin with. And then when you've done that,
really.
I'm like, oh my god, they're so much better.
Not really. To actually improve them a lot, we're just go into the rays and increase this value to around 400. Right? This will give the shadows a much better result. Right, so let's just do this now. Right, so by default the resolution of the shadows is set to 4K. This is good. We want this. We want the rays to be around 400 as well. The BPR AO will be much lower, but we will change the rays and the resolution of the BPR ambient occlusion to the same values as the shadow.
If my laptop is not a 4K laptop.
Oh, it's not about the resolution of the laptop, it's just the resolution of the shadow.
Oh.
So you can work with the full HD laptop and have like 4K textures and resolutions. It's fine. It's just gonna take a longer period of time to actually render, as you can see here. And the V depth to 1 as well. Okay, now I'm gonna click BPR, the BPR button to render it.
Okay, it won't affect like the laptop memory and stuff like that.
I mean, it will affect it. Files, the size of the file will be much larger.
So I might run out of memory on my laptop.
Oh, I don't think that's the case, really. You
No?
have enough memory, and so you have like 700 gigabytes of like memory, which is more than enough.
Oh, is it? Did you see that on my computer?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think I saw like 700 something.
Oh. Okay.
Right? Now the shadows are pretty much too smooth, so I will just go back into BPR shadow. I'm just going to adjust the angle. V depth to 1 this time. Now of course you can just play around with these values and find the perfect render. It's just going to take some time, really.
But if you're changing it on Photoshop anyway, is that really important?
Well, at least for the shadows and ambient occlusion, yes, it's important to actually have it right from the start.
Okay.
You'll spend a longer time trying to like find the perfect shadows inside Photoshop than here, because the program is doing this for you. In Photoshop, you need to do this yourself.
Yeah. Are you gonna show us what you do on Photoshop, or?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm like, I'm curious. I still don't know what exactly you're gonna do apart from the background.
Right, so pretty much this is just the beginning of the 3D to 2D process, right? So we just have to poly paint on the model,
Poly paint.
pose it, select an angle, save that angle from document, tab. Then just go into the BPR AO, BPR shadow, adjust the settings for the render as well, right? Make it very high quality. Make sure that the base material that you used for poly paint is skin shade 4. You can see the white material there. You will have this skin shade 4 material by default. And then what we'll do is actually disable all the poly paint, and we'll take renders with different materials this time. And in Photoshop, we'll just transfer all the files and put them all on top of each other. Just begin to like paint certain, I don't know, materials, paint out certain materials, edit them, work the opacity, the brightness of them.
Mm.
The occlusion affecting the mouth area,
Mm-hmm.
the eye socket as well, around this
Oh yeah.
area, the horns. Now, this is pretty much zoomed in, but the thumbnail, it's actually occupying the entire screen. So what we'll do is just go into BPR interface and save it again. Okay, so you can see here how the lighting affects the entire model, how the ambient occlusion works on the back of the model as well, how it affects the tentacles, and how the light angle that we choose is reflected on the final model. Okay, so as I said, this will be for the Monday lesson, but just like a short preview, we will just disable all the poly paint from the subtool area by pressing on this brush icon.
Oh.
Okay, we'll change the color to a white one. Then we'll just select different material. Like Capsicum 4, for example.
So you disabled all of them?
I disabled all of the poly paint. I don't need paint anymore.
Okay.
Okay. What I would do is actually disable the shadows and ambient occlusion because I don't need them anymore. I already have the shadows and ambient occlusion in the main render that I took.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I just render this, which will be much faster. You can see here, I'll take this result, I'll put it into Photoshop on top of the on that main render. Then I can just adjust the opacity.
So what will happen when you put it on top? Because then you've got two different colors and textures.
Yeah, but then you can just blend them together, right? Then you can just create masks in Photoshop as well. So if you want this material only affecting the teeth, for example, you can just create a black mask. Then with the white brush, you can just paint the teeth only with that specific material.
I'm looking forward to that lesson. I'm
Yeah,
curious
it's gonna
now.
be quite interesting, I think. But well, interesting and confusing at first because I think this is the first time you're gonna work with this kind of like workflow inside Photoshop.
Okay.
But yeah, this is pretty much what the lesson for today was. So just as a recap, document, start the document from here, 1920 by 1080 by default for you guys, okay? In my case, it's much higher because I have a much higher resolution monitor. ZRLink properties, from here you can choose custom angles for the model. So in case you just accidentally just press and change the angle just a little bit, you can just go to document, select the custom angle that you choose first time. It will just automatically move the camera to that selection. Okay, lights. You can dock them on the side of the screen. By default, the ZBrush UI will look like this. But if you pay closer attention, you'll see 2 bars with 2 arrows on the left side of the screen. If you hover your mouse, it should say divider. Just double click on this. You shouldn't have these things, so it should be like a blank area. If you have another menu, for example, there you go. If you have another menu that you don't want, you can just hover your mouse until you see 4 arrows appear. Click, drag, and drop anywhere on the screen. Really, just gonna delete it. Go into the light tab and do the same thing. Hover your mouse until you see 4 arrows. Click, drag, and drop on the side of the screen until you see the outline of the empty space light up, and drop the menu right there. The light menus consist of a sphere, which will pretty much indicate your model, and a small orange dot which will indicate the angle of the lights. You can enable different light sources by double clicking on the light bulb icon. By default, you will have a light source, only one light source enabled. You can change the intensity of the lights from here, the ambient of the light, and the distance of the light from here as well. You can change the color, and if you want for this light to actually shine from the back of the model, just click once on the sphere. Let's actually change to a model that's actually visible. Okay, let's make metal. Okay. That's too bright. Make sure you don't go overboard the intensity of the lights. Right, so we'll drop this a little bit more. So if you click on the sphere, you can either bring the light from the back, this is from the back, or from the front. This will be visible, much more visible on a different material. Metal one.
You know, is there a way, like when I put my character in my world, yeah, my kind of like drawn 3D world, like could I make it move in that world or not?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
Unless you do like a 3D animation. But
You could pose it though, couldn't you? By the masking tool.
Well, I guess if it's like,
So not move it, but you could pose it to look like it's moving.
yeah,
can I?
obviously, but you can't really do 3D animation in a 2D document unless you do multiple renditions of that 2D document and start animating like the old days with multiple frames.
No, I just mean like, I'm assuming she means in terms of like when we hand in, we have to do our world and we have to have something in our world, but if you could pose it so it looked like it was interacting with the world, it probably looked better than it just being its.
No, I actually was hoping that I could make it move in that
Actually rig it.
frame kind of thing, in the frame.
Now, in the render, the BPR render pass, you'll have this composite, which will be only just the model. So you will not include the background when rendering.
So could I take my background and put it in ZBrush with my model and then start to make it like 3D or not? Is that a really rubbish idea.
So just like a 2D concept that you made.
Yeah, but instead of like trying to draw it 2D, 3D. So I would make it 2D and then put it into here and then easily make it 3D, if you see what I mean. I don't know if it can convert it in some way.
Yeah, you can add like different background images, if that's what you're asking, from here, from document.
Yeah, okay.
And,
And then just build another mesh that is the background as well.
Uh-huh.
okay, so you can change the color
Uh-huh.
to any color, really. You just pick it.
Can you import like a random picture now and show me? Like,
Let's see. What was it? Preferences, I think.
oh right.
The entire software, ZBrush, transparent.
Wow.
Then you can just make the model on top of the concept. To actually import an image, I think it was somewhere around here, I'm not sure. We'll only use for sub menus from here, which are the render properties. And you can increase the quality of the render by putting the number of the details to 4. You can enable the shadows and ambient occlusion from here as well, in the render properties. In the BPR render path, you can see all of the renders that you took after you click on this BPR button. You can either click on this BPR button or just press Shift R. We'll do the same thing. BPR shadows, increase or decrease the resolution of the shadows from here. Like I said, what I like to do is just increase the resolution or leave it like this if it's like if it's 4K by default, and increase the raise to around 400, and then go into the BPR AO and do the same thing. Put the resolution to around the 4K value, and the raise again to around 400. And this is pretty much it for the render settings. Let's actually search for the. If I want, for example, to
Documents.
if I want to import.
Hang on, how did you just go onto new document?
From here,
All right.
right? I have all the documents from here. You can just append a new subtool from here.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Just gonna delete that for now. Doesn't really matter, just want like a primitive shape.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be in the material. Now to the texture. There you go. Texture on.
Hmm.
I can import a new texture. I'm gonna import the BPR render. I'm gonna go to the texture menu again. I'm gonna select this.
So I could go
can
into
just-
pictures instead.
Yeah, I can just add it to Spotlight.
Ah.
You can see that I can pretty much just
Oh, whoa.
scale it so that it will always stay in the workspace. So now I can
Okay.
just go back to my model.
That's a really big
Well, yeah,
circle
you
with
can
lots of
just
options.
Scale it, I guess, using the entire screen.
So to get like, because obviously that's in front, to get the model in the front, you can just like move the subtools, yeah?
I mean, it's just pretty much just adjusting the opacity. You will still see.
But if I want it like
Model.
100% opacity, but I want my model in front, because obviously if it's like a background scene, then I still want my model in front, I can just move the subtool. Like once you've saved it, or I don't know.
No?
Oh, because it's not
Well, let's
it's
try
not a
that.
separate subtool, is it?
Yeah.
The picture.
Yeah, that's should be an option to like just bring it to the back, the front, unified. Okay. Let's see. Maybe I can find here. Bigger, resize it, and drag and drop this. And now, come on.
Is it
Now
important
from,
to change the
um,
resolution?
Yeah, well, make it much larger for the workspace at least.
Uh-huh.
But now you just need to go into the light tab.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see come on, the background
Okay.
tab, and you click on create new panorama. You select an image.
Ah.
And you have pretty much the model
Yeah.
in the
That
back.
looks cool.
So every time you rotate the
Yeah, I like
Main.
that.
the main model is gonna rotate with the background image as well.
That is good.
I don't know if this is exactly what if you.
No, we definitely do.
Yeah. But because the image at the background is so big compared to the model, could you make it like normal? Could you?
Now I can zoom in,
Oh, okay.
but zoom out. I don't know where that is. Now this is a way to do it. I might find other
Background image
ways.
is a smaller resolution.
Well,
You could just
it's
do
not really
one-
about resolution. It's about the mode itself. It's just gonna create like an HDRI for a whole scene based on this background image. So that every time you're gonna rotate the model, this image is gonna be. in the
Yeah, I really
background.
like that.
Now to actually import background image,
Mhm.
I should find.
Oh, is it
that as
different?
well.
Because I'm thinking, obviously, if I create my world in Photoshop, then I'll save it. Then I want to import it into this, and hopefully, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like edit it on this though from a 2D import, but. But you know what? That just looks good, just to have like the 3D object in a 2D background. That's good, isn't it? Are you not impressed, you guys? Am I the only one impressed?
The axis as well, so you can see that
Oh, what is that?
it's just the floor.
A floor.
Yes, but I just want to change, for example,
Mm-hmm.
this blue plane,
Uh-huh.
which is the floor for the z-axis. Just want to change it to an image. See if
Mhm.
that's possible.
Okay.
Okay. So you can enable the floor from here.
Mhm.
By default, it's just the y-axis. You can see that there's some X, Y, and Z options, like very small options there as well. You just need to click on them. Make sure the model is from the front. Now the draw tab here, so dock it here. Move the front to back. Map 1. There we go.
What did you just do? Sorry.
Right, so in the the draw tab,
Uh-huh.
right? I just docked it to this side of the screen.
Yeah.
I open it, and you'll see that this sub-menu called front back.
Okay.
Just select the image from here,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, I think I can just adjust it from here. I mean, it's
Oh.
definitely on the back of the model. I don't know if you can actually change the opacity. Let's see. You can change the horizontal offset,
It is.
vertical offset.
Not the mesh, it's an object, it's a tool, yeah. We've got two, or is that just the
See the images, this one is the image, this one.
Yeah.
I'll probably, this is the I've got model, I've got the model, exhibit one, I'm trying to see if I take the ZBrush and delete that tip from here. This isn't like, because of.
Height and grid?
Hypergrid.
Yes, so that you can't really see this grid
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Some
So you can
things, I think I'm just.
disable the colors, the RGB fill, and beeline opacity, just make this values really small. I'm just gonna disable X, Y, and Z, and you should have something like this, I guess.
Yeah, it's very like not that clear.
Honestly, what I would do is just
Oh,
without the floor.
okay.
So just render this, go into BPR render pass, and just choose the composite without any background, right?
Uh-huh.
And then just import the background image in
Mhm.
Photoshop, and import this one as well, and just put it
Yeah.
over, I guess.
True.